All good birders know that it is important to watch for sick birds in their feeder area. But how do you know if a bird is sick, and what should you do to help your avian friends? Here are 6 signs that a wild bird is sick. Fluffed up feathers. This is typically the first thing I notice when watching birds. When a bird has its feathers fluffed up and they stay that way, it is usually sick. Obviously, when its feathers are fluffed up, its wings will look like they are sagging. There are other cases where the bird is not sick. When a bird is cold, it will fluff up its feathers, but they don't stay that way. Unkept feathers. If the bird's feathers looked unkept, it may be sick. If the bird looks wet, it could have just taken a bath. However, if the wet feathers are matted, it means that the bird is sick, because if it had just taken a bath, it would have preened its feathers. Diarrhea. Yes, sick birds can have diarrhea. In some cases, the sick bird's feces may not show any noticeable difference, but the feces could be an odd color, texture, or bloody. Lethargy. If the bird appears to lack energy, or it seems to be sleeping in the middle of the day, it is probably sick. There are cases where the bird won't be moving, and there is nothing wrong with its health. A good example is when there is a hawk nearby. Black-capped chickadees hold very still. If you have a feeder and the bird is just sitting there, sluggishly eating, it is most likely sick. Approachable. If you can walk within a few feet of the bird in plain sight, it is probably sick and near death. When birds first get sick, it is hard to tell, but as time passes, they become very weak, sluggish, and won't fly when you approach them. Trouble flying. This one is usually a sign of the sickness being more advanced. It can be hard to determine for beginners, but for people who watch birds all the time, it should be easy to tell. In some cases, the bird can't fly straight. It flies lower to the ground, or its wing beats are distinctly different from a healthy bird. It sometimes looks like it is trying to glide rather than fly, while other times it flies more like a butterfly, meaning that its wing beats are weak. The 4 diseases that most frequently affect birds that use feeders are Salmonella, Trichomoniasis, Aspergillus, and avian pox. Each disease has different symptoms. For birds with Salmonella that are showing symptoms, they most likely won't live more than 1 to 3 days. Disease can spread rapidly at crowded feeding stations as healthy birds eat food contaminated by the feces or saliva of sick birds. Salmonella can be transmitted to people who handle sick or dead birds. Always wear disposable gloves when handling infected birds and wash your hands thoroughly after touching a bird feeder or bird bath. Finally, clean your feeders about once every 2 weeks and more often during times of heavy use or wet weather. Also clean them more often with soap and boiling water if there have been reports of salmonella in your area, or if you have seen sick birds in your yard. Clean the ground below your feeder to prevent a buildup of shells, uneaten seeds, and other waste. It is also recommended to take down your feeders for a short amount of time if there is an outbreak of disease in your feeder area. Remember, to help eliminate an outbreak or the spread of salmonella among your avian friends, follow the guidelines for proper sanitation of the feeders, and especially when you see a bird with the signs and symptoms previously listed.